There's another DIY from the Retired Guy. This is not going to be a step-by-step DIY. It's just going to be an evaluation as to what I think, who I think should be tackling a timing belt job on. This is going to be on a Honda 2015 Honda Odyssey. So the timing belt, to do a timing belt, can range from anywhere from, it looks like $1,100 if you go to a private shop. It's up to $2,000 if you go to a dealer. And for the parts, basically, and I'm not going to give any details because there's some fantastic videos out there. And I want to encourage people to use YouTube. YouTube is just a wealth of information, and I'm trying to contribute because I've used YouTube so much over the years for so many projects. I watched a couple of videos. Basically, I'm doing serpentine belt, timing belt, water pump, all the pulleys associated with it. So here's what I have on parts. I bought the AISIN, AISIN TKH-002 timing belt kit on eBay, $225, and I'm also an eBay guy because I'm, again, thrifty, not cheap. And it was, I only buy from, people with 100% feedback rating. Usually, people buy something like a timing belt kit and decide, hey, this is too big a job for me. And then I bought a serpentine belt also on eBay for $44.81. And that was, again, it's a Mitsubishi. So Honda doesn't make their own belts, obviously. Mitsubishi makes their belts. It's not Mitsubishi, it's Mitsubishi with an O. And that serpentine belt was $44.81. The timing belt in my kit, I'm pretty sure, is also Mitsubishi. It's whoever makes the OEM Honda stuff, it's the same manufacturer. So for my parts, it's $270.25. And then the tools, I did buy the big heavy socket to get the nut off the crank pulley. And I bought the tool to hold the crank pulley steady when you tighten it down at the end. So with the tools, I got $320 invested in parts and tools. If you say, halfway between $1,100 and whatever a Honda dealer would charge, figure average of use $1,500 for what it would cost to do it, pay somebody to do it. Minus the $320 I spent on parts and tools, it's an $1,100 savings. So to a thrifty guy like me, $1,100 is pretty good. And again, I'm retired, so I got, I can take my time with it. But yeah, I'm going to tackle this, and I'll kind of hit the highlights. Can I get the nut off the crank pulley is number one, and then removing the engine mount looks like another one. I'll kind of update as I go with I'm not making a video how to do this. Yeah, you certainly don't need a car lift. If I didn't have this, I would just put it up on jack stands. This job, I've watched the videos on it. You're gonna be going from the wheel well up to the engine bay, back and forth a couple times. So, yeah, it's gonna save my back and my knees from getting up and down off the ground, but I'm also gonna have, it's gonna be lowering the car on the lift, going back up with it. It's gonna be a little slower, but, with my back and my knees, it'll certainly help me. I think this is probably a necessity, the heavy duty socket to put on your impact wrench to get the inertia to break that nut free, and the wrench that I think I'll only need going back on with the nut, because I don't want to use the impact gun to put the nut back on. I really don't know how much torque I'd end up with, and I think over torquing could be a problem too. But with this, I can put just as much muscle as I can get in it, and that should be enough torque to hold it properly. I do have a torque wrench, and I'm probably I'm going to torque it to spec, but it looks like it's just, you know, with a breaker bar, how much muscle you can put on it. That's all right. Moment of truth. Got 100 psi on my compressor. Let's see if this will do anything. Nope. Okay, I finally broke free. I hit it with some silicone spray, lubricant. I don't know if that did anything. And I waited till my compressor got up to about 130 psi. And hit it again and finally broke it loose. And you can tell it's pretty, I don't know if you can see, but the whole thing looked pretty corroded. But yeah, if I couldn't have gotten that out, that would have been a showstopper. Okay, after I pulled the crank pulley, I lowered the van down and went up to the engine bay and cleared everything out on top here. So power steering pump is moved out of the way. I did take the pulley off. To get it out easier, which was no problem. And I did not disconnect the reservoir. Some of the videos, they were disconnecting the power steering line. I just left it all together so I didn't have a mess of oil. Took the computer out, all the brackets, the motor mount is gone. Took all the bolts out that I could get on the covers, on the timing belt covers that I could reach from the top. And as the motor mount is shot, I did not have to put a jack under the engine to get the motor mount off. I think this just holds it from side to side. The bolts came out no problem, but this is pretty much shot. So I just ordered a new one of these for like 85 bucks delivered. So it's all split and needs to be replaced. I've ordered an OEM one from a Honda, I guess a Honda dealer in Phoenix that sells stuff pretty cheap. So I'm gonna need that motor mount. And I guess that's it. I did move the fuse box out of the way. It's just sitting on two little clips in the back to get at one of the motor mount bolts to get a straight shot down on it. But yeah, now I'm ready to lift it back up and start pulling the timing belt. So on this service, my van is at 105,000 miles. And after looking at the parts that came off, I would not delay it past that. This is the serpentine belt. It's pretty much shot. It's cracked, very dried out. And yeah, this was definitely a risk for breaking. The other item that was showing problems was the tensioner. It's got oil on it where it's been leaking oil, so the tensioner was definitely on its last leg. I've never heard of a timing belt break. Actually, I heard one on a Subaru of a person that I knew that had a timing belt break. There doesn't seem to be, you know, any catastrophic issues with this timing belt, but you know, these things are probably made to last. I would say because of the risk of one breaking, they're probably designed to last, you know, 200,000 miles. But there is a lot of tension on these. I mean, turning the engine, you know, the crank pulley driving two camshafts is a lot of force on this belt. So a tip from the video that I watched to do this job. It was an excellent video, by the way, step by step. Every bolt, every nut was exactly like my van. And I used Ace Tech Auto and the title of the video was Honda Odyssey, How to Replace Timing Belt Water Pump. The guy had a Philly accent. I was waiting for him to say, "Yo, Adrian," but excellent. My hat's off to him, doing this for a living and still taking the time to make a fantastic video for the average shade tree mechanic like me. I really, really appreciated it. So my hat's off to Ace Tech Auto and all the other guys that do these videos. But anyhow, his tip was to mark the belt when it comes off. This mark is opposite where the timing mark was lined up at the top to the mark. The mark on the tooth marked up to the housing, and then same thing on the two camshaft pulleys. I marked where its top alignment was to the alignment mark on the housing. So, and then I just counted teeth from that datum point, and on the right side it was 67 teeth, on the left side it was 65 teeth. So I did this is my new belt, which I haven't installed yet. You just randomly pick a tooth, and that will be the bottom of I'll align that to the bottom of my cranked gear, and then I've got the 67 teeth marked off on one side and the 65 on the other side, so that when I put it on, if these marks, the tooth should be in this slot here that I have marked in the V. The top tooth should be in there on the right side, and the top tooth should be in this slot here on the left side. And if it's not, then I can right away suspect, before I pull the pin on the tensioner and I'm locked in, if I don't have those marks where they should be, I'm not even going to attempt to pull the pin. Then something's different than it was with the old belt. So I thought that was a great tip. All right, I got my first snag of the process. This pin was supposed to come out with the old water pump. It stuck in, and I grabbed it. I've tried to pull it with some channel locks. That didn't work. So I'm trying not to get too rough with it. But what I plan to do is grab it with these. It's a nail puller. I'm trying not to just lightly bite into it and then rock it back and forth. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, I was able to get just enough grip. I could barely get these in there, and I could get it on the corner of the nail pullers, and got enough bite on it where I could rock it back and forth, and I did get it out. Yeah, so marking this timing belt, I think, is a must if you don't do these all the time, because I never would have got this positioned properly. I never would have took the time to get the tension pushed to the one side if I didn't know where the old belt came from. So this is the mark on the new belt, and then I counted teeth based on the old belt. I marked off, I think it was 65 on one side and 67 on the other side. And then when I put the belt on the top, I knew that I had to get in the top alignment mark into this tooth. And basically the old mark transferred that 67th tooth over. I knew I had to get it in here. When I first put it on, it was way over here, and I wrestled with this belt for, I bet, 20 minutes to get it worked around, so I knew it was lined up. If I hadn't had that mark on it, I definitely would have been off at least a tooth, because it's super, to get it, the tension is really tight. I don't know if that's highlighted enough in the videos, but they say put all your slack to the one side and it should be tight here. Well, it's really damn tight here. There's no movement there to get those teeth right. And then same thing over here. To to get that mark where I marked the new belt on the mark that I had, you know, from the prior belt it took a lot of muscle. And I used this tool I had in my toolbox. It's just I think it's for tire, you know, for doing motorcycle tires or something, but I use this to kind of push on the pulley, you know, push the belt on the pulley so I can get some grip, and just, you know, shoved it around until I got it on that tooth. Without those markings, I never would have got it positioned properly, you know. And the fact that you have it exactly where the old belt was, you know, really doesn't matter where your pulleys are clocked. If you mark it and put it back in the same spot, the old one came off a tooth to tooth count. You know, in my opinion, you can't go wrong. But yeah, take the time to mark your old belt before it comes off and transfer the marks to the new belt. That, to me, for a newbie, you know, a guy that doesn't do this for a living, it's a must. Okay, I've got the new timing belt back in, covers back on, the crank pulley back installed. I can't go any further with putting the serpentine belt on because I don't have my motor mount. So I'm going to be waiting for a couple days for my new motor mount to come in. But I'm done as far as making a determination as to who should be doing this job. This definitely separates the DIY men from the boys. And yeah, it's not bad. Getting the belt on was tough, especially if I hadn't transferred the marks from the old belt to the new belt. I would have been real nervous about that belt being in the right position. So a couple lessons learned from my experience is don't be afraid to remove more than less components, brackets, whatever you need to get out of the way to give you the maximum clearance to the timing belt. And definitely mark the old belt in 3 places on the bottom crank gear, as I described earlier, and then the 2 on the 2 cam pulleys. I think that's all the advice I have. The only snags I hit, I showed earlier in the video, but yeah, I'm pretty much good to go as soon as I get this new engine mount, and, you know, saved $1,200 by not going to the dealer. So that feels really good, and the confidence that, you know, it was done right. You know, I torqued everything properly. Everything's certainly, you know, done right. If you're doing it yourself, you're definitely committed. There's no worry about you not being committed to doing the best quality that can be done. So yeah, I would advise it if you think you're a manly DIY guy. Yeah, I'd say. And lastly, I want to give credit to the 2 videos that I used, the 2 YouTube videos. The first one is Ace Tech Auto, and that one's titled Honda Odyssey, How to Replace Timing Belt Water Pump. And the second one I used was Robinson's Auto Repair, and the title on that one is Honda 3.5 Timing Belt and Water Pump 100K Service. Both those videos were invaluable. The Robinsons was actually done on a Pilot, and the Ace Tech was done on an Odyssey. So I used the Ace Tech for the removal and installation of the new belt, and then the Robinsons was very helpful with how going back together with everything. So yeah, both were great. My hat's off to both these guys. They're obviously professional mechanics. So yeah, thanks guys for putting these videos out there. They're extremely helpful. So good to go. Peace out until next DIY.